the temple we are going to speak about today, you are going also to be astonished with what you are going to see yourself. And it seems that the old Egyptian civilization is going to amaze the whole world with every single stone they left to us. And these are some of the gifts of Egypt to humanity at large. To shed more light on the temple of Sohag, or Osireion temple, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I'm going to ask my dear guest live on the phone on the pronunciation of this temple. We are very much delighted to have with us via phone Mr. Samir Abbas, our historian and researcher. Thank you very much for being with us, sir, and a very good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Very important and very interesting topic we are discussing today.
I hope I'm pronouncing the name of the temple right. Osireion?
Osireion, yes. Yes.
Great.
That's right. Yes.
Tell me more about the Osireion temple in Sohag and particularly Abydos and its old history.
So first of all, I really thank you for bringing this topic, because this temple is one of the hidden treasures. Not only the temple, the entire site is one of the hidden treasures and the most important archaeological sites, not only in Egypt and not only for the Egyptians, but for the whole world. And the reason for that, that's what I would like to share with you today. So location-wise, the Osireion temple lies in Abydos, is part of a bigger temple called Abydos temple, and Abydos lies in Galiana, Sohag today. So the site is known mainly for Abydos temple. Osireion is not that famous actually, unfortunately, as Abydos temple, and it was covered normally in a one-day trip from Luxor. Many of the tourists who are visiting Luxor, they will take a day trip to visit the temple of Abydos, and including Dandara on their way back.
Mm-hmm.
To give you a brief about the history of the site, starting from the temple, because the site has many attractions. It's not only the temple of Abydos and Osireion, but what is very interesting about this site is it has many tombs for early dynastic period kings who ruled Egypt. The kings who unified Egypt 5,000 years ago, those kings, whatever they are from the north or from the south, they prefer not to be buried in their homelands and go all the way to Abydos and build tombs for them there.
Yeah.
And that was for a very important historical and, of course, religious reason, which I'm going to explain today. So, so the main temple there of Abydos, which is believed to be built in the 19th dynasty, New Kingdom, nearly 1300 BC, by the famous king Seti I, and with additions added by Ramesses II, which is the son of Seti I. But the important part of the temple is actually what is underneath this temple, which is the Osireion, the one we are talking about today. So the Osireion is named after Osiris, or Osir. And Osiris or Osir, that was one of the key players in the ancient Egyptian mythology, which is link or make the ancient Egyptian religion, which had a very much similarities with the current religions, whatever Christianity, Judaism, or Islam, because in the Old Testament, in the Quran, there is a story of the Cain and Abel and the good brother and the bad brother, which is the bad brother, he killed the good brother and buried him. That is exactly the same story of Osiris. Osiris, he was the good and loved brother by his father, and which is made Set, the evil, jealous brother, kill him.
If we go into that, we are going to discover a lot. I mean, the Ka and Ba, they knew that there is a soul which never dies, but it's only the body which dies. I mean, there are a lot of stuff related to this. But let me focus on what was drawn, and particularly a symbol of, it was a helicopter or a falcon, or until the moment we don't know what is it.
That's another very interesting topic. But this misleading, what's called misleading actually, carvings or drawings or on the temple or art in the temple is a matter of very interesting debates, because first of all, it is not in the Osireion itself. It is in City, the first temple, and Ramesses the temple, which is from the New Kingdom. So it was made a long time after the Osireion. So, and there is if you can put on the screen, actually there is some part of the temple which is carvings, which is art, shows that it is as if it is a tank, helicopter, and when which is gives a space of very interesting interpretation that the ancient Egyptians discovered and already manufactured or invented these tools, which has been lost throughout the history. But most of the archaeologists believe in that was an overlapping of hieroglyphics made by Ramesses I and overlapped by another hieroglyphics by Ramesses II after putting a plaster layer. And when the overlapping happens between different signs, made these random figures, which is make it looks like tanks and aircraft. So, but apart from this topic, which was also another interesting topic, going deeper underneath this temple, we are reaching the Osireion. And the Osireion, as I mentioned earlier, dates back to, actually it belongs to Osiris. There is still a debate about how old this temple is. So this temple, which is, because of the way it was built and because of the building style, is many archaeologists believe that it belongs to the Old Kingdom. Old Kingdom, that's when the ancient Giza and Saqqara and the Ashur pyramids being built, which is nearly 4,500 years ago. But there is another group of archaeologists believing in it was built in purpose, in that style, by the New Kingdom kings, like 3,300 years ago, which is 1,500 years after the pyramids being built, in order to give a false impression to the ancient Egyptians back in that time that it's predating this period. So what's the exact importance of this temple and how it was built? So this temple has massive granite columns and massive roofs. And this temple serves not only as a temple, but also as a tomb for Osiris. Osiris, which is the one which is killed by his brother, but after being killed by his brother and has been
This means
saved.
that it's not a myth. This means that Isis, there's Isis and Horus, and they married, and they had all what we are talking about. It's not a myth anymore.
So it is a myth or no, that is a subject of personal beliefs. And when it comes to that, I will give you an example. You know, if you are familiar with Dorothy Eddy, which is this British lady, which is she lived between 1904 and died in 1981 in Abydos. So she called herself City, or she was called by City, because when she has a son, she preferred to name him City, named after the king City. She moved to Egypt in 1931, and since she moved to Egypt, she became believers. We're talking about a British lady. She became believers in the ancient Egyptian religion, in the ancient Egyptian cult, and giving offerings. She was known as for giving offerings every day and prayer to the ancient Egyptian gods. And she moved in 1956 to Abydos temple, which is the temple we are talking about, and lived there for the rest of her life until she died in 1981 and buried there. And every day and night she was going to the temple, making prayers dedicated to the ancient Egyptian gods and giving offerings as well. So talking about a myth, if it is a myth or a belief, that is a subject of personal interpretation. But for the interesting thing is the similarities, between the ancient Egyptian cult here and the cult we are practicing today, which is they have a similar stories but in different names. So
all the data you're talking about, sir, these were written on the walls of the temple or the monuments there, or we found papyrus, for example, in the tombs, or what? I mean, how we knew all this about the temple, about its history, about who built it, and all this?
Very good question. So Osiris' story, because it is one of the most important story in the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead, which is the holy book of the ancient Egyptian, that was written almost everywhere. That was from the pyramids text in Saqqara, throughout the tombs of the Middle Kingdom, throughout temples, walls, and also New Kingdom tombs. So there is nobody actually, or there is no archaeologist faced any complications in tracing the story of Osiris because it was written. So the importance of Osiris is not only because of his story and how he was killed and how he became back alive to be mummified by his wife Isis and to get pregnant and give a birth of Horus to get the kingdom back again together, but also important because Osiris became the king of the final judgment court. And the final judgment court is the court which is every person in ancient Egypt has to go through to make it to the paradise. So because of that, Osiris has a very strong weight in the ancient Egyptian cult for every ancient Egyptian.
Sorry, I have 30 seconds and I'm eager to know more and more, so please, I'd like you to give me a promise that you are going to be my guest live here in the studio to speak in more details. Promise? I hope he heard me, and it's a promise. And this is to continue to say that the old Egyptian civilization depended on good and bad, good and evil. And whenever you're good, you are going to go to heaven. Whenever you're bad, you are going to be punished by God. Simply do not kill, do not hurt, do not steal, do not, of course, pollute the Nile River. Only then you can be a good person, whether in our life or in the other life. This is us. This is the old Egyptian civilization. Well, by this we come to the end of our episode. Once again, Happy New Hijra year to the whole world, not only to the Muslim world, by the way. And once again, I'm proud to be Egyptian. And again, the old Egyptian civilization is going to amaze the whole world forever. Many thanks for watching. This was Nurmina Abdurrahman.